The lights dimmed in the packed New York City auditorium. Cameras rolled. Laughter filled the room as Kevin Hart cracked his signature jokes, bouncing across the stage like a spark of fire. This was no ordinary comedy show. It was a special global panel celebrating voices that changed the world. World leaders, celebrities, activists, everyone was there. But one name on the list puzzled the audience. Captain Ibrahim Traoré. A young African military leader? Why was he on a comedy lineup? Kevin laughed it off. Y'all trying to set me up? What, is he going to arrest me on stage? The crowd roared. Then the spotlight hit a tall, calm figure walking toward the mic. Ibrahim smiled gently, his military jacket crisp, his eyes sharp, but warm. The room hushed. Kevin raised an eyebrow. Uh-oh. Traoré adjusted the mic. Kevin, he began, you talk fast, but I hear even your barber couldn't keep up. The audience exploded in laughter. Kevin doubled over, slapping his knee. But no one, not even Kevin, knew what was coming next. Kevin laughed so hard he had to wipe tears from his eyes. Man, you really came for me. I didn't know revolutionaries could roast. Ibrahim smiled again, his voice steady. Where I come from, we use words to fight before bullets. Humor, too, can be a weapon. The audience chuckled, but a few shifted in their seats. Traoré continued, gently roasting Kevin's short height, his movie flops, and even his Instagram captions. Kevin kept cracking up, leaning on the podium to stay upright. But then, Ibrahim's smile faded. He looked directly at Kevin. You laugh at your pain, brother, but where I come from, laughter has dried up. The room fell silent. In my country, he said softly, children don't joke about bedtime, because nightfall means gunfire, bombs, hunger, no Netflix, no warm beds, just fear. Kevin's face changed. Ibrahim took a breath. But I came here not for pity. I came here because the world has laughed at Africa long enough. Tonight I choose to speak. The auditorium grew still. The transition from comedy to confession hit like a punch. And somewhere backstage, a producer whispered, "We're not ready for this." Traoré reached into his jacket and pulled out something small, crumpled, faded, folded many times. A photo. He held it up, his hand trembling just a little. This is Adama. He was 10, my cousin's son. Kevin squinted at the photo from the stage. A barefoot boy smiled back at them from a field of dry grass. He loved football, not politics. He didn't ask for a war. One night, while helping his mother cook over a wood fire, a drone passed overhead. The room was dead silent. No warning, no mercy. A flash of white, and then silence. Ibrahim's voice cracked. There was no media coverage, no justice, just a number in a report, and ashes in his mother's hands. Kevin lowered his head. The audience was frozen. Some wiped tears, others sat stone-faced, stunned. But Adama didn't die for nothing, Traoré said, his voice steadying. He lives in my voice. He's why I stand on this stage tonight. Kevin Hart, the man who made the world laugh, now had nothing to say. The show had shifted, and no one knew how deeply this night would change them all. Kevin Hart stood still. The audience waited for him to crack a joke, lighten the moment. That's what he always did, but not this time. He looked at the photo of Adama again. His voice, usually sharp and quick, came out low and slow. Man, I didn't know. Ibrahim nodded. That's why I'm here, because most people don't. Kevin swallowed hard. We sit in air-conditioned studios, tweet about injustice, wear designer shirts that were sewn by hands that never had a childhood. The room held its breath. I roast people for a living, Kevin said. But right now I feel like I've been roasted by the truth. The audience shifted. Some murmured. A woman in the front row had tears running down her cheeks. Kevin turned to Ibrahim. Tell them, don't hold back. Ibrahim didn't flinch. You sure? Kevin nodded. And just like that, the real conversation began. The one that wasn't rehearsed. The one that would shake the world. The lights hadn't changed. The cameras kept rolling. But something bigger was unfolding. Raw, real, and powerful. Ibrahim stepped closer to the audience now, his voice rising, not in anger, but in urgency. Do you know how many letters I've read from mothers? He asked. Women who buried children with their bare hands, because no one would send a coffin. Gasps echoed around the room. They write to me like I can fix the sky. They say, Captain, I don't want money. I just want my son back. He paused. And I can't give them that. Kevin looked down at his shoes. But what I can give them is a voice. Ibrahim turned toward the audience again. You all clap for speeches about courage, equality, hope. But when an African child dies without a name, your timelines stay quiet. He tapped his chest. I came here wearing this uniform, not to show strength, but to remind you that my people don't need pity. We need partnership. We don't need tears. We need action. The crowd was stunned. Even the event host, who was supposed to jump in with a light-hearted transition, remained seated, tears in her eyes. This was no longer entertainment. It was awakening. The screen behind Ibrahim flickered to life. Photos filled it, real ones. Streets of Burkina Faso, children walking barefoot to fetch water, market stalls turned to rubble, schools without roofs. Kevin stared, eyes wide. This isn't a documentary. This is now. Ibrahim nodded. You laugh on stages, Kevin. I walk through villages where the only laughter left is from memory. He pointed to a photo of a young girl holding her baby brother, standing near a collapsed home. That's Aisada. Her father was a teacher. She still brings his old books to what's left of their classroom, just to remember his voice. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Some couldn't hold back their tears. Kevin clenched his fists. Why don't we hear these stories? Ibrahim didn't raise his voice. He didn't have to. Because Africa has become a background noise in a world addicted to distractions. The lights dimmed again. The audience, once buzzing with laughter, now sat in deep, aching silence. One man had come to a comedy panel with a broken heart in his jacket pocket. And now, he was handing pieces of it to the world. Kevin sat back on the stage stool, his hands clasped. No jokes now, no punchlines, just silence. The crowd waited, but he didn't speak. Instead, he looked at Ibrahim, really looked, and then he whispered into the mic. How do you sleep? Traoré paused. I don't, he replied softly. Kevin blinked. What do you mean? I sleep beside a radio, every night, because I need to be ready, in case another village calls for help, in case another school burns, in case another mother screams into the dark. Someone in the back gasped. Kevin's voice cracked. Man, I just worry about my next movie flopping. You worry about your people dying. Ibrahim placed a hand on Kevin's shoulder. We carry different weights, but you have a platform, and that means you're not powerless. Kevin nodded slowly, eyes glassy. This wasn't a comedy show anymore. It was a mirror. And for the first time, millions watching weren't just entertained. They were questioning everything. Ibrahim paused again, then slowly bent down and removed something from his boot. It was wrapped in plastic, folded tightly. A letter. He held it up. I wasn't going to read this tonight, he said, but something tells me, now is the time. Kevin leaned in. This letter is from a 14-year-old soldier, Ibrahim said. His name is Boubacar. He was taken by militants, escaped, and wrote me this before he vanished again. He unfolded it carefully. Captain, I don't know if you will find me, but if you do, please tell the world. I wanted to be a doctor, not a boy with a gun. I want to heal people, not hurt them. Boubacar. Kevin broke. He covered his face with his hands, shoulders shaking. The camera caught audience members openly sobbing. Ibrahim folded the letter back up. We haven't seen him since. The room had never felt heavier, but it wasn't a hopeless weight, it was a shared one. And that changed everything. Kevin Hart, the man who always had a comeback, couldn't speak. He stood up slowly, walked across the stage, and hugged Ibrahim. A long, silent embrace. No claps, no music, just respect. Kevin turned to the crowd. You ever feel ashamed of not knowing something sooner? A wave of nods spread through the room. Kevin's voice cracked. I came here to make people laugh, but I'm leaving with a broken heart and a full mind. He looked at Ibrahim. Teach me, teach us. Ibrahim nodded, not just with words, with action. Kevin wiped his face, turning to the audience. If y'all watching this at home, don't scroll past, don't like and move on. Sit with it, sit in the pain. He raised his hand and pointed to the giant screen behind them, now showing Adama's photo again. Remember this face. The audience, millions online, everyone watching, sat glued to the screen. Because for the first time, Kevin Hart wasn't performing. He was transforming. The moment Kevin hugged Ibrahim wasn't just powerful in the room. It echoed across the world. Within minutes, the livestream clip was uploaded to social media. Kevin Hart breaks down mid-show as Ibrahim Traoré reads child soldier's letter. It went viral. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Celebrities reposted it. Politicians stayed quiet. But regular people, mothers, fathers, students, even comedians, started speaking up. Why didn't we know? Why does this feel more real than anything I've watched all year? I couldn't stop crying. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Ibrahim. But in Burkina Faso, something deeper happened. In villages where internet barely reached, neighbors gathered around phones just to hear the sound of Ibrahim's voice on that stage. They saw their pain, their dignity, their truth finally spoken out loud, and cheered. Not for fame, but for finally being seen. And yet, back in New York, Ibrahim sat quietly backstage, his fingers holding a photo of Boubacar, not smiling, because there was still one more thing he hadn't shared, something that would rip the world's heart open. Kevin walked backstage after the show, his shirt soaked with sweat and tears. He found Ibrahim alone, sitting on a metal chair, eyes closed. You okay? Kevin asked. Ibrahim opened his eyes. No, but I'm used to that. Kevin sat beside him. That letter, it crushed me. Ibrahim looked down. I have something else. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a voice recorder, old, scratched. This was found in a burnt village last week, hidden in a metal cooking pot. It survived the fire. Kevin stared at it. Ibrahim pressed play. A crackled child's voice filled the room. I don't want to die. Please, if you find this, tell Mama I tried to be strong. Tell Captain Traoré I believe in him. Kevin covered his mouth. And tell the world, we are more than war. We are people. Static. Silence. Kevin sobbed. It wasn't just words anymore. It was a child's final breath of hope, captured forever in a metal shell. Ibrahim looked at Kevin. I didn't come here for applause. I came here to ask for help. Kevin couldn't answer. His tears did. The next night, a silent vigil was held outside the venue. Hundreds of people, black, white, young, old, showed up holding candles and printed photos of Adama, Boubacar, and other unnamed children. There was no music, no speeches, just silence. Some held signs. Ibrahim, we hear you now. Kevin, thank you for listening. Africa is not a punchline. Kevin stood in the crowd, no cameras, no bodyguards, just him in a hoodie, head bowed. Beside him stood Ibrahim, quiet, steady, changed. The world had watched one man crack jokes, then watched him crack open. But now, something even more rare was happening. People were choosing to feel. That night, a young boy from the Bronx walked up to Ibrahim. He didn't say a word. He just handed him his favorite toy car and whispered, "For Adama." Ibrahim knelt and hugged him, eyes closed. It was the first time Kevin had seen him cry, and it was the moment the crowd broke. Everyone wept, not because of pain alone, but because hope had finally found its voice. The day after the vigil, an unexpected event shook the world. At a global press conference on foreign aid, a reporter stood up and asked the U.S. president a question live on air. "Mr. President, have you watched Ibrahim Traoré's message?" The president froze. The room went quiet. More cameras turned. He shifted in his seat and said flatly, "No, I've been briefed. I know what was said." But the reporter didn't back down. "Then why has aid to Burkina Faso been cut? Why is a child soldier begging into a recorder while billions go to weapons?" Gasps. Silence. The press secretary tried to interrupt, but it was too late. That clip, that one question, hit every major platform in minutes. People reposted it with hashtags. "We heard Traoré. Say their names. Boubacar deserved more." Suddenly, it wasn't about a comedy show anymore. It was a movement. And in a quiet hotel room, Ibrahim sat with Kevin, watching the clip over and over. Kevin finally whispered, "You're shaking the world, brother." Ibrahim didn't smile. He just said, "I'm trying to shake it awake." That same week, Kevin Hart appeared on a major talk show. He wore all black, no jokes, no flashy intro, just silence. The host tried to open with a funny line. Kevin stopped her. "Tonight I'm not here as a comedian. I'm here as a student." She paused. "A student of what?" "Of pain," he said. "Of privilege. Of truth." He pulled something from his pocket. Not a note, not a script, a folded photo. It was Boubacar's letter. Kevin read it out loud. His voice cracked halfway through. The audience wiped tears. The host sniffled. But Kevin kept reading until the end. Then he said, "If that child believed in Ibrahim Traoré, so do I." He looked into the camera. "And if you're watching this, I want you to go online tonight. Find a photo of Adama, of Boubacar, of any child from a place we ignore. And I want you to remember their names." The crowd clapped softly. Kevin didn't smile. He simply whispered, "Please don't forget them again." That video became the most shared interview of the year, and it led to something even bigger. Back in New York, Kevin took Ibrahim to the rooftop of a community youth center. No cameras, no suits, just two men and the city skyline. "I brought you here," Kevin said, "because this place saved me when I was 14. He pointed to the old brick walls. "I used to sleep here after school, when my mom was sick. I told jokes in the basement to escape." Ibrahim nodded slowly. "And now you help millions escape pain." Kevin turned to him. "No, I don't want them to escape anymore. I want them to feel it and change it." He reached into his jacket and handed Ibrahim a check. "I've donated my next Netflix special money to build a trauma recovery center in Ouagadougou, named after Adama." Ibrahim's mouth opened slightly, shocked. "Kevin." Kevin shook his head, emotional. "It's not charity. It's a promise." A tear slid down Ibrahim's cheek. He would have loved that. Kevin looked up at the stars. "We can't bring them back, man, but we can make sure the world remembers them forever." And in that quiet moment, two men stood side by side, not as a comedian and a captain, but as brothers. Weeks later, a gala was held in Paris. It was supposed to celebrate laughter and art. Instead, it became the night Ibrahim Traoré changed the world. Kevin Hart was invited to speak. So was Ibrahim. As Kevin walked up to the stage, the room erupted in applause. But when Ibrahim stepped forward, the The crowd quieted instantly, not out of politeness, but out of reverence. Ibrahim took a deep breath and looked into the sea of faces. Then he said something no one expected. "Tonight we laugh, not because we forget, but because we choose hope." He told the story of Adama and Boubacar again, but this time with a smile. Because even in our darkest moments, the human spirit fights back. And laughter is our weapon against despair. Kevin wiped his eyes and smiled. But just as the applause swelled, Ibrahim dropped a bombshell. We will not stop until every child has a chance to live, to learn, and to laugh. The room was on its feet, because this wasn't just a promise. It was a movement. After the gala, in a quiet corner, Kevin asked Ibrahim what kept him fighting. Ibrahim smiled softly. He said just one sentence. "If we stop telling their stories, their spirits die twice, once in life and once in silence." Kevin's eyes filled with tears. "That's the truth," he whispered. "That's why I'm with you." And just like that, the laughter and the pain were forever linked. From that moment, Kevin used his fame not just for jokes, but for justice. And Ibrahim, he became more than a captain. He became a symbol of resilience, hope, and the unbreakable human spirit. This story isn't over. It's only just begun. Because now you are part of it. Will you remember Adama? Will you honor Boubacar? Will you carry their stories? If this video touched your heart, if it moved you to tears, then don't keep it to yourself. Like to show you care. Comment your thoughts on Ibrahim's message. What moved you most? Subscribe to this channel to join a community that stands for truth, hope, and change. And here's the most important part. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Because every voice matters. Every story counts. And together, we can make sure no child ever dies twice, in life or in silence. Thank you for watching. Thank you for feeling. And thank you for standing with Ibrahim Traoré.